Okay, so what we're going to do in this segment, it's a very, very special little technique you're going to learn, really cost saving, because of course mycorrhizal fungi aren't something you can brew up. They have to be harvested from living plant roots. So often you'll see products advertised with mycorrhizal fungi and there's suggestions that you can put them in the compost and grow them, and it's absolute nonsense. They'll only grow on living plant roots. And when you look at the research on commercial producers of mycorrhizal spores and mycorrhizal propagules, the little pieces of hyphae, you'll find that they take a plant that feeds plenty of sugar and that has a big root system, and the favoured plant is Sorghum-Sudan. Now we couldn't get Sorghum-Sudan for this, so sorghum's a close second. It has a big root system and it feeds a lot of sugar, and that of course really helps the propagation and looking after that mycorrhizal growth on the roots. And so what we're going to do, using the potting mix, the beautiful potting mix we just made, which we actually designed with that touch of clay, because mycorrhizal fungi like to have a little percentage of clay in their growing medium. We're going to fill this grow bag, and then we're going to treat the seed with mycorrhizal and a couple of other things. I'll explain how and why we're doing that. And then we're going to put them in the bag and grow this bag full of roots. And when we get to a point that the sorghum's been in there for a little while, developed a massive root system, and then we just chop the top off. We take those roots. I'll talk about how we'll do that shortly. But first of all, we'll fill our bag up with the lovely potting mix. Thanks, Carl. Nice looking stuff, isn't it? Mm. This is some bags that we had at one of the farms that we grew ginger. There's been quite a move towards trying to grow ginger in bags, but we found that it wasn't as effective as growing it in the soil. We had much more cost effective to grow it in the soil, and we had better yields in the soil. So we've got lots of these bags laying around now. That's probably enough, isn't it? So I'll just get you to give me a hand to lift that onto here.
A bit more,
yeah, just a little more. So we used quite a lot, didn't we? So we've got our bag of beautiful potting mix with all the nutrients in it, and now we're going to get ready to prepare the seed treatment. Now, the seed treatment is going to involve a product from Nutritech, a product called Platform, which is several strains of mycorrhizal fungi, some trichoderma, and also some bacillus organisms. So it's quite a nice little mixture of synergistic organisms, but of course the dominant one will be the mycorrhizal, and we find that this specific strain of trichoderma doesn't compete with the mycorrhizal, so it's appropriate for this. Now it's only tiny amounts, but we'll use that because you can't really overdose it, so we'll just put half a teaspoon into this 100 mils of water, and we'll stir that round and sort of mix it in a bit. And now we'll add the second ingredient, is a product that I'm very excited about because we just learned how to brew it. And this is an Azotobacter inoculum called BioN. It's something Nutritech's had for years, but we've never known how to brew it. And now we know how to. I'm going to share that in an upcoming podcast. In fact, in one of these videos, we're going to teach you how to turn 1 litre into 100 litres of organisms that can either fix nitrogen directly on the leaf, or you can put in the soil, you can put as a seed treatment. In this case, we're going to put it with the mycorrhizal fungi. And the reason for that, a great friend, Hugh Lovell, used to describe the relationship between Azotobacter and mycorrhizal fungi as probably the kick-ass most important relationship of any synergistic relationship of soil life. And he described the reasons for that. I mean, they're quite complex, but the very simple explanation is that mycorrhizal fungi, of course, need protein to grow this massive 10 times the original surface area, and you don't really want to steal that protein from your host plant. I mean, you can, but you're going to compromise. It's going to be more parasitic to suck those building blocks from the plant. And so ideally, if you've got Azotobacter, this nitrogen-fixing organism, the most powerful of the nitrogen-fixing organisms, living in sync and nestling up to the mycorrhizal fungi, it's constantly producing nitrogen, it's constantly fixing nitrogen, and so that becomes the nitrogen base for the protein building, which is wonderful for the mycorrhizal organism. On the other side of the equation, to fix nitrogen, you've got to have soluble phosphorus. And every enzymic reaction, and it's an enzymic reaction when you've got to pull an enzymatic reaction when you've got to take the gas and pull it down using an enzyme called nitrogenase. And so in this instance, to start every enzymatic reaction, you need this thing called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. And so you have to have some soluble phosphate constantly present for the ongoing production of ATP to allow you to fix nitrogen. And of course, the big claim to fame for mycorrhizal fungi is that they're making phosphate available. They're releasing acids, they're going out and mining phosphate, and the Zotobacter living next door saying, you beauty, and taking up that phosphate. So that's just part of several synergies between those two organisms, but we're going to make sure that synergy happens in our pot. So we're going to put a little bit of bio in, and it's only just, as you can see here, a couple of little squirts. It's only really a mil is all that's required for this little treatment that we're going to do, and that's probably a little too much. And then we're going to send the boys off to work with the lunchbox of all of our seed treatments and all of our experience with seed treatments. The most powerful is an all-inclusive fertilizer called root and shoot. Probably an unfortunate choice of name, but basically remarkable in terms of its seed. It's a wonderful fertilizer, full stop. It's a wonderful foliar, it's wonderful to fertigate, liquid inject. But in this case, we find with seed treatments, we get this tremendous response when we combine mycorrhizal and root and shoot together, and that's what we're going to do here. So we take a little bit of root and shoot. Again, we're talking just a couple of mils into our solution. As you can see how concentrated it is. All of the trace minerals, all of the major minerals, fulvic acid, kelp, amino acids, tricontinol, even things like selenium are built into root and shoot. So it's really quite a special fertilizer. And so we've got our little seed treatment now. Now we take our sorghum seed, and we've got a little, I'll just show you a handful there. We've got a little handful of sorghum seed. And maybe it might be more than what we're going to need in this pot, but this is just basically, you can get the idea there. And now we're going to put our seed treatment in here. And then we're just going to leave that for about 10 minutes. So we'll be back in 10 minutes time, and then we're going to plant them, and they will be inoculated, fully inoculated with the three components. Well, not inoculated, but we'll have the food source, and we'll have the bio-N, the Azotobacter, the mycorrhizal fungi with the Trichoderma and Bacillus species. It'll be a nice little package. And what we're seeking, as I pointed out, is for the sorghum, which has a big root structure, to fill that entire bag. So that's why we're going to put more than one plant in there. It'll just be a mass of roots. And the aim of this whole process is that basically once we've got that bag full of roots, we can chop off the top, and there's a couple of ways we can do this. We can take that whole root ball and shove it into a compost tea extractor, something with quite violent extraction, and blast the mycorrhizal and the other organisms like a compost tea, but that becomes the base for, a compost extract, that becomes the base for the extract. You're going to extract everything off that root. Or you can run it through a mulcher, and just crunch it all up. And even though you're chopping up high fat, it doesn't matter, they grow from little pieces. And so you can make your inoculum in that way. It was interesting, I was talking to Adam, who's on the camera at the moment, and he was suggesting, kind of a similar thing, an ancient sort of practice by the American Indians, where they would take, if they were going to grow tomatoes, for example, and it probably wasn't the example, but we'll talk about that because it's one practical use for it, you'd go out and find a wild tomato, a wild member of the Solacea family, and you'd harvest the roots, same story, and you'd chop them all up, and you'd use that as an inoculum to pick up that whole wild inoculum and all of the benefits that are occurring naturally on that species grown in your soil. You're now going to put on your commercial variety, which is actually a really good idea. Okay, so we've waited 10-15 minutes, we've soaked our seed, we've drained off the liquid and actually put it into the bag, so we might as well make use of that microbial soup that we created. And now we've got our seed, and we're going to sprinkle the seed. It's probably a little too much, but we'll use at least half of this, and we'll sprinkle it. We don't want them, we still want to have this much between plants. I mean, you could make it, there's too much competition if we go too heavy. And then we're going to cover it with another shovelful, because there's space to do that, so we'll just quickly do that. Okay, that should just about do it, I think. That's good. Now we'll cover that with about this much. It's going to be exciting to watch this happen. Okay, now we just put this, we leave it, make sure it's got moisture, and we'll put it somewhere where it's got full sun. And we'll have the normal germination period, and it'll be earlier than normal because part of the seed treatment is a much faster germination. Now that same mix we use on garlic cloves because we grow garlic here commercially, and typically it's 10 days for garlic. We soak for half an hour with garlic cloves rather than just that shorter period, half an hour, and we get always, not sometimes, always full germination in 4 days, and we get this plant that jumps out of the ground with that combination of Azotobacter, Mycorrhizal Fungi, the Trichodermatostem in there, and root and shoot. That's our formula for treating garlic cloves. So we take this now, put it out somewhere in the sun, and we may even be able to show you some photos as the sorghum grows and come back and show you the before and after photos at that point. Thanks for watching.